Podluck with still no theme song. So does anybody want to sing a song for Podluck? No?
Podluck. We're doing Podluck.
All right. There it is. We officially have our theme song. Okay, so FKA Twigs sexual battery case against ex-Shia Lebouf gets trial date. I forgot that this happened. I remember when
It's been a long year.
Yes. I was like, so there's more there's more trials and stuff going on. And this one's I mean, Shia LaBeouf is kind of a controversial dude when you really think about him as being people like don't like him.
He's wild.
He's an interesting person. So
he has erratic behavior.
Well, and she was in his movie Honey Boy, which is a film based on his life that he wrote during rehab. And I think that's how they met.
Which is as we talked about the other day with who was in Amanda Bynes, meeting someone in recovery is always a roll of the dice and dangerous.
She wasn't. Are you saying like someone who was experiencing recovery? Because I don't think they were like in rehab together.
Even if she's not in rehab, dating while you're in that first year of getting clean is very dangerous because your personality type is going to fluctuate heavily. You're going to have your ups are going to be much higher and your lows are going to be much lower as you're getting, as your body's reacclimating to not being on chemicals and stuff like that. So it is not a time where, like, if the goal of a relationship is that you come together and, you each help form a solid base that is your relationship, that person does not at that time have the ability to provide the stability that you would need in a relationship to really feel like you're both doing your part to make it work. So that automatically puts him in a position of being more likely to act out.
Twigs is kind of a red flag, though. She has a bad dating history.
Who else?
She was with Alex Skarsgård.
That's who she's with now, right?
Is she currently with him?
They're like in a movie together coming out soon. I could be getting that wrong.
I don't know. And then she was also with Matty Healy of the 1975, and then she was also engaged to Robert Pattinson for a while.
Oh, I remember that.
She has like a pretty bad history.
So it says,
but it doesn't sound like any of them are like chaotic.
No, I mean it's just like
unhealthy.
Bad breakup after bad, like really bad
it's like
breakup.
Taylor Swift, like how many times do you break up with somebody before you start wondering whether you're the problem? Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm passing.
I don't know.
So it says the gaslighting has gone on long enough here, and it's time to hold Shia LaBeouf accountable. Twigs lawyer Brian Friedman told the website, "My client wants a trial date." The cellophane singer, age 34, sued LaBeouf, 35, for sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress in December of 2020. That's like peak COVID. Kind of like everybody's gone. It's been like
well, it wasn't peak COVID.
Well, she sued him in 2020, but we don't know when the incidents occurred.
So it's I'd like to be able to raise awareness on the tactics that abusers use to control you and take away your agency, Twigs told the New York Times. I'd like to point out at the very least that she didn't make this a men-woman issue. She said abusers. So it's not like she said that men do this exclusively, which I can appreciate.
You gotta love when they introduce an actor or an actress as the insert title actor. It's so dystopian to see accuse the Transformers actor of choking her, threatening to crash the car when they were both in it.
I'm going to defend writers here.
Like,
it's to give some context
weird
to what they're doing.
I
also don't want to repeat their name a million times.
It's just like in the context of like accused him of choking her. Like that is weird. That is a little odd.
I picture here they're like, man, everybody hates those Transformers movies. Let's use that one as the one.
Wouldn't you expect this from a Transformer actor?
Yeah, it's like anybody who works with Michael Bay is clearly suspect, which is another thing that I love that everybody else hates with Michael Bay movies. Okay, so like I said, Twigs accused the Transformers actor of choking her, threatening to crash the car that they were both in, knowingly giving her a sexually transmitted disease, but LaBeouf has denied her claims. It is Lebouf, right? I'm not pronouncing
LaBeouf, yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to point out that in California, they just recently made it like not a felony to give somebody an STD, to give somebody HIV.
That. If that's the only grounds to call it a sexual battery case.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that.
I was wondering, like, is that even a crime? I don't know.
So, and also the part about like crashing their, like, I have friends who have been in very tumultuous relationships where this is something I could absolutely have heard one person say to another person that they're in a relationship with, that they're going to do something freaking crazy like that. Obviously you hope to God that it doesn't happen, but when people are angry and when tempers run high, especially when you're in a volatile relationship, if you're with somebody that you're really passionate about.
And I would say someone who doesn't act rationally on their own.
Yeah. Like, and if it's somebody who already has a tendency to be volatile, and the person you're with doesn't quell that in you, and instead when the relationship,
or you can't quell it in yourself.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you should not be in a relationship if you cannot quell that yourself. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that if you go into a relationship and expect that person to be your I guess your anchor or your stability, you're setting yourself up for failure, and then a lot of times you're setting the relationship up for very bad things happening because you're not centered enough to be able to take care of yourself, let alone be there for somebody else who may at certain times need you to be there for them as well, which is part of what being in a relationship is all about. Mm-hmm. So it says he had told the Times in an email. Now this is where you thought this was really interesting because he basically admits.
Yeah, it looks like a confession, but it's not. I mean, it's almost sure. I'm not in any position to tell anyone how my behavior made them feel. I have no excuses for my alcoholism and aggression, only rationalizations. I have been abusive to myself and everyone around me for years. I have a history of hurting the people closest to me. I'm ashamed of that history, and I'm sorry to those I hurt. There's nothing else I can really say. There's actually a lot else that you could say because he needs to respond to the claims that were made against him.
This is very vague. Like what
yeah, it's very carefully stepping around the real issue.
Well, it feels like somebody who's in recovery and is trying to make sense of their past actions.
But it's like if these things happened and he's lying about them, then he's not. I mean, this is such a growing and learning shallow thing if he is lying.
I also feel like maybe you just didn't need to comment on it publicly. Like, just go to court and deal with it there.
It says, and in a separate, well, I mean, that's the problem, though. Johnny Depp has proven that the court of public opinion is powerful when it comes to this type of thing.
Maybe
I feel
more
like,
so.
I hate to say it, but this is like not the only thing. Like, I don't know if he's married to her right now, but like he's had this really rocky relationship with Mia Goth, and they have a kid together. And like,
I saw that.
You know, there are photos of them like screaming at each other on the street, which like I know can happen in relationships, but like he is a troubled person addressing this one situation. I do not think is going to save his reputation.
It says in a separate email, and in a separate email to the newspaper, he stated that, quote, many of these allegations are not true, but owed the woman the opportunity to air their statements publicly and accept accountability for those things that I have done. So what he
seems like kind of arrogant to be like, well, I do want to give her the chance to talk. I'm that gracious.
I mean, if his hope is that, like, you can air your grievances and I want to be able to prove which ones are accurate and which ones aren't, that would be an extremely level-headed thing to say for somebody who's clearly having a hard time being level-headed as of late. So it says, Lebouf, who has a long history of arrests and trouble with the law, has also said that he was not cured of his PTSD and alcoholism. But I am committed to doing what I need to do to recover, and I will forever be sorry to the people that I may have harmed along the way, he said. Like I said, that all comes across to me as very much somebody who's, at the very least, trying to make sense of their past behavior if they're in some type of recovery program. Twigs has said that she plans on donating a portion of the winnings she receives to domestic violence causes. Well, make sure that whoever that is gets the receipts, because we all know what happens when Amber Heard tells you that she's going to donate her settlement from her divorce to
ACLU is like, not again.
Yeah, they're just like, how about for us here, Twigs? I'm sorry, is her last name actually Twigs, or
no? This is a stage name.
Her name.
Her parents are Elon Musk, and he was like FKA. That's your name.
When I went through with
away from keyboard, but mixed around.
What I went through with Shia, is it Shy or Shia?
Shia.
I would say Shy.
Didn't you watch Holes?
So what I went through with Shia was one of the worst things I've ever been through in the whole of my life, she said. I don't think people would ever think that it would happen to me, but I think that's the thing. It can happen to anybody. Again, I'd like to point out that she's not, I mean, I can assume that she maybe thinks that this is like a male-female issue, but she's not saying that men are doing this. She's saying that people do this, that people have the capacity to act awful to one another. And I always appreciate when they don't make it a gendered, or, when they don't try to make it more and more interconnected to race and gender. So I can appreciate the more general statement here. I think that's more balanced. Twigs and Lebouf dated for a little less than a year after meeting on set of Honey Boy in 2018. She was previously engaged to Robert Pattinson, splitting in 2017. So she does have a long history of relationships, but that does not make her, that does not mean she did something wrong really here. Relevant. It's not really relevant, so we should be careful with stuff like that, but we'll see where this goes. And then was there something in the Pitchfork article that you thought was specific that was not in the other one that we just read?
I think it might have been just that she mentioned at some point that she also has PTSD.
Yes.
So they both have it.
They're both his, maybe for other reasons. He's done podcasts and interviews where he talks about how effed up the entertainment industry.
My takeaway is just like, if you're a child star, you're gonna have like major attachment issues.
Yep, very bad. He's worked fairly consistently up until 2020. Like, it's, being movies more than films, like one a year is a very consistent thing for somebody in his position to do. He's got something in pre-production right now.
I'm so excited for this Padre Pio film.
What is it?
Making. It's a film about a Catholic saint.
Okay. So he's got that coming out. It looks like that's in post-production already. And I don't recognize any of that. Wow, that looks like a foreign film? Abel Ferreira. So I don't know, but that's very cool that he's got that coming out, but we'll see where that goes. I can't speak on guilt or innocence in this case. I just think it's very interesting that so many of these cases seem to be coming up. We talked about Kim Kardashian and Black China, or the Kardashians won their suit with Black China, who plans to
There's so much domestic violence in the news right now.
Exactly. That case involved domestic violence as well, given Black China and Rob Kardashian. So it's like one of the things that I think is interesting is like a lot of times when they kind of lecture people on Twitter or whatever it is, and they're like sending this out to the general public, I think they forget that they have their own biases that are based on the world they live in that may not be the world that the average everyday person lives in, which is why I don't think that you should look to celebrities for advice or for any type of indication how to live your life, because the life that they live, for better or worse, whether it's the things they do well or the things like this that are more prevalent in their community, they're not people to idolize or admire, and you should not let them telling you how to live your life or lecture you have any bearing on how you choose to live, because clearly, everybody is their own person and everybody has to make their own choices.
Dysfunction knows no bounds.
Exactly. So we'll see where that goes. Speaking of religion, you mentioned that movie. It said Chad Michael Murray says he has passed on roles due to his religion. I want to know what roles, because Mary, you'll have to help me on this. Is there something that he would have to if he's a practicing Catholic, right?
Is he? Or is he just Christian?
I think I don't
Christian
think it says Christian. So if he is a practicing Christian, is there something he would have to turn down?
Well, there was another actor that we were talking about. I forget who it was, who was saying that he turned down doing scenes that were I think it was either sex scenes or
Neil McDonough said he wouldn't kiss a woman.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cameron kind of famously did this too. They would bring in his wife for any kissing.
They go the Mike Pence route.
I mean, the kissing scenes thing is a little ridiculous because at the end of the day,
it's your job.
You are an actor, so you should act to some degree. But with the sex scenes thing, I do think that would be inherently opposed to Christian values, and especially just because I don't think it serves narrative storytelling to just show graphic sex. It's not really a plot point or anything.
I wonder
serving the plot.
If you're a devout Christian and you have to play a character who if you're female and she has to go through an abortion, would you feel conflicted on that? Things like that.
Especially if it's actually important to the story and it's not making it as some type of pro-abortion.
Something real,
And I'm sure it depends on what the story's like, right?
Yeah.
So he says here, I stick to things that I believe in, he told Fox News. I think it's so funny that we live in a world where now I'm just the fact that he did a Fox News interview, I assume that he's going to be labeled. It says, let's just say a piece of material were to come across my desk. Let's just say that a piece of material were to come across my desk, which has happened plenty of times over the last 22 years.
I'm working hard, he says.
That I don't necessarily feel is what I believe or what I'm I'm selling, then that's not for me. The Cinderella story actor, so much like Shia LaBeouf is the Transformers
actor. Now they're trying to make him seem like a little
I feel like he hasn't really
actor.
See, I think it's like he hasn't really worked a ton. So when he's like, in 22 years, which I have gotten a lot of offers, do not be mistaken.
He has worked consistently.
Has he?
He's got
I'm not trying to dig on him. I just actually don't know.
No, but he does like a lot of the Christmas movies now. He's like a Hallmark movie person.
See, that's lame.
But the reason I asked this question is because the first thing that came to my mind when he made this was that he played Ted Bundy. I was like, is that okay? Is Ted Bundy?
Yeah, and what I said when you brought that up was like, well, they're obviously not glorifying a serial killer by telling his story.
Hollywood is automatically good. They make a point in one of these articles that said they're mad that they hired another hot Ted Bundy.
It's just Ted Bundy was famously attractive. Women were really into him.
But that's part of portraying him.
Like you can't
that
not
you have
do
to
that.
show he was charming.
It's just funny because they're talking about
that was part of the danger of Ted Bundy.
I know, but I'm just saying they're talking. People were like getting angry. They're like, stop casting Zac Efron and
projecting the intentions onto the people making the film.
He did this interview with Fox, right?
Yes.
I am curious that he is announcing this like, oh, because I'm a Christian, I've been turning stuff down. When we have kind of a rise of a lot of more Christian or conservative movies and content producers, I think it's interesting. It is a strategic interview if we're gonna go from my PR conspiracy theorist brain.
So he says, if you don't fully love and embrace the character that you are inhabiting, it will show on screen. I always want to give the people that I am working with and the people who are going to watch the movie the most of me, he said. I don't feel like you need to love a character to play a character. Like, does he love Ted Bundy?
Having played Ted Bundy, I would hope he knows
is he
that.
like, I love Ted Bundy. Like, I understand Ted Bundy, get into the mind of Ted Bundy, but I don't think
he loves the person, but maybe he's saying like you have to feel committed to the role. Because if you can't really do it apathetically and be successful.
That I believe, you cannot take a role on without wanting to give your full 100% without it showing on screen that you're clearly, your heart's not in the performance, especially if you're somebody who's done a role where that has come out and then it's very noticeable when they're kind of half-assing it.
And to that end, like if he felt conflicted about a role or a scene or whatever, like it's probably better to turn down the role because he wouldn't be successful at it, and like it probably hurts a lot of people if you have this, poor performing actor.
So he's worked very consistently. He had the Ted Bundy movie, Angel Falls on Christmas. Like you can just imagine what that's like. I'm sure it's very. Me and Hannah Claire have gone on making fun of or joking about Hallmark movies.
An institution to not be rivaled.
He was on Riverdale. He was on. Road to yes, like there's a lot of Christmas movies on here.
He was very famously on Gilmore Girls. Everyone should know that.
That was one of the reasons.
As a Christian, I stand by Riverdale.
Yes, a lot of music videos. Alicia Keys music video, Brandy music video. Good for him.
But I think that
Dawson's Creek, Gilmore Girls, and of course One Tree Hill, which I am not ashamed to say that I loved at one time.
I think that it's notable that his career did not. It feels like his early success was really One Tree Hill, and after that it stayed pretty minimal, which like that is just part of being an actor in Hollywood. I'm not gonna
it looks like he's got multiple things a year every year. Is there anything more that you can ask for other than a major role?
Right. And he was such a household name that I am like a little bit surprised, but at the same time, I'm curious about the timing of this interview. I feel like he is who just released that movie, Father Stew? Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, he's like trying to like let Mark Wahlberg know he'd be open to being.
Yeah, hey man, hire me.
This, like, if you want to make movies that align with your values as a Christian, you gotta go where the money is, and like the production value of Hallmark movies is just not up there.
It's amazing.
Mel Gibson,
and it doesn't
Mark Wahlberg, give me a call.
It's like a whole thing to itself.
You expect something from a Hallmark movie, and it gives it to you.
Yeah,
just like a Transformers movie,
and Transformers, or a Fast and Furious. Yes, I admit that.
Let me say, like,
thank you.
If the cultural narrative is that you have to be a trans actor to play a trans character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean if we started saying, well, you can't have that person play a Christian. You have to put a real Christian there. Like, are we like on that level of weird?
I mean, I'm sure
stuff?
that they would say that about like other religions. Like, if you want to play a Muslim, you have to be a Muslim. Like, but why though?
Does that apply? I don't know if I stand by any of this, but like, just as a thought experiment, like, can he start being like, well, I'm a real Christian. If you're going to cast a Christian in a movie about a Christian, it should probably be me.
Well, that would
it's
be
just
a
like,
bad
I want
idea.
to put the least amount of effort into pretending to be this person as possible.
See, that always rings as weird and unrealistic to the job to me. Like, that's the weirdest part. Okay, vampires.
You always, Brett, every time what the cherry on top of Podluck is in this weird dirt cake.
I love picking the weirdest thing to be what we end the show on. Real life vampire organization urged caution after Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly blood drinking rituals go public.
It's Brett's world and we're all just living in it.
This is true. Also, if you're taking life advice from Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, not even the real life vampire clubs can help you.
But the sad thing is, after like reading or like hearing Megan Fox talking about these blood rituals, that there are a bunch of people who are like, we should try that.
Yeah.
Like,
who?
I just
want to say,
baby idiots.
If some girl says that and the guy's like, can you look like Megan Fox while you do it? No, well, then I don't want to hear about it.
No, I think it's like crazy people who are trying to prove how passionately in love they are. And they're like, that's the way to do it.
It's cringy, like acting like high schoolers for them. And then
super weird. And the high schoolers
make hot topic for teens again.
For Megan Fox only.
So
I feel like I'm obligated to point out that like they're talking about drinking each other's blood when we have a literal blood shortage in the country. Like the American Red Cross is like really
Megan
should be encouraging them to donate blood, not drink each other's blood.
Teenagers out there, don't drink it. Just it's super fun. Grab your boyfriend, grab your girlfriend, go donate blood together. And that's even cooler than what Megan.
Why do we have a blood shortage? How do you know that?
I covered it for the site, and
Interesting.
largely because of COVID, people stopped going to donate, and you have to keep blood supply high. So that, and also winter storms delayed being able to ship blood, and you can't just like like it expires, has to be stored properly. So we are facing a blood crisis, and it's been going on for, I want to say, minimum 6 months at this point. So I actually do think people, if you're up for it, should donate blood, and maybe Megan Fox should lead the way on that one.
Yeah. Partners should
partner with the American Red Cross.
Partners should be tested for diseases prior to drinking each other's blood, says Balthazar Ashantazan.
Oh, thanks,
Might be the coolest name ever next to whatever the name was we talked about yesterday.
Starling Jenkins is way better.
Balthazar Ashantazan might be the coolest name ever. The co-founder of the New Orleans Vampire Association. His name might as well be...
I'm going to die of cringe right now.
Hard swerve.
Can people just grow up?
Might as well
like
just
stop acting like you're in middle school.
Yes, it says he's the co-founder of the New Orleans Vampire Association. Said precautions need to be taken before lovers drink each other's blood. I wonder if if you're going to play somebody in a movie with clinical vampirism, do you have to be a real world sufferer of clinical vampirism if we're to go by
do they consult on movies about vampires? Because otherwise they're really missing an opportunity to get paid.
Thing we talked about yesterday.
They're the trusted resource.
They were mad about people with DID being portrayed, dissociative identity disorder being portrayed a certain way in the movie Split. Are they mad about how people with clinical...
You're misrepresenting vampires.
How dare you? Yeah, we check for diseases. We do blood panels. We check. We're not just...
They're responsible.
There are no upside down crosses or there's no pentagrams anywhere in our blood drinking. It's very healthy and very safe.
It's organic.
Though being in a monogamous relationship helps alleviate some risk, there is the potential for disease and bloodborne illness. Yeah, unless you know every person she's been with or every person he's been with and you know their entirety of their medical history, I would get it checked. That's all I'm saying.
Or
don't
just
drink each other's blood.
The Transformers alum did... there they are just insulting someone with a Transformers name again. Alum did clarify in Glamour that she and MGK only drink a few drops of blood, not full goblets like some might imagine, because that would be crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Are you kidding me?
What are we in Game of Thrones?
This isn't... What are we, nuts? Dude, it's just a vial. It's just a little bit... It's like Billy Bob and Angelina Jolie all over again.
We're r/not like other couples.
Yes.
We're so fun and healthy and different.
So it says...
you are... 35.
You have multiple children. What are you doing?
So the leader of Nova, which is the New Orleans Vampire Association, said that real blood drinkers are overly cautious. He, for example, told TMZ he got to know his donor for 6 months before drinking their blood, and they still get tested every 3 months. Look.
Just in case they've been two-timing with their blood.
That's how you know you're an authentic blood drinker, if you're careful about it.
I'm thinking about the people, like the people, like the women who become dominatrixes, who have to like learn how to like keep an eye on your pulse rate and stuff like that, so they know when they're choking you or beating you to keep you from like having a stroke. That's what I feel like this is weird crap like that.
Yeah, we're getting into some strange territory.
But I'm like, dude, go with God, my friend. I don't care. If you want to drink each other's blood, go and do it.
Are we this bored and like
desperate to have attention?
Cringy and desperate for attention that full-grown adults are acting like this?
I hate this, and I respect the libertarian instinct to be like, you do whatever you want to do in your corner.
Well, I don't.
But
stop.
I'm not
going to hurting my eyes.
I'm not going to stand by it. Like, I don't like this. You could do it. I get that. But I don't have to support you or endorse it in any way. Go donate blood.
If you are a vampire watching the show, ignore my bigoted friends over here.
You.
Ignore
Your
my
hobby sucks.
I love garlic vampires.
Stop doing it
for me.
Okay, so it says vampire urges caution over blood withdrawal. Safely.
Why are we indulging this man? This vampire. And he's like, oh my gosh, guys, look, they call me a vampire.
Safely ingesting your partner's blood is one thing, but Father Sebastian, the founder of Endless Night Vampire Ball, said that he was concerned about Megan Fox's comment regarding Machine Gun Kelly being less controlled when he withdraws his blood. Remember, it was like he'd cut his chest and
take my soul.
Yeah, like
I'm an emo boy.
Yeah.
Stop, bro.
He's much more haphazard and hectic and chaotic, where he's willing to just cut his chest open with broken glass and be like, take my soul. That was like, he's literally throwing red flags at you.
I cringed out. Like,
so
is this a personal offense? Like, if you're making me cringe, that is a crime.
Father Sebastian cautioned that blood withdrawal should only be done through medical professionals, as the ritual of blood drinking, and then we get into healthcare inequality and
cosplay as vampires are giving medical advice.
Or
like, no, 2022.
We could refrain from doing that.
So the takeaway here is that
friendly suggestion.
You should watch Fast and the Furious movies and be very libertarian in your blood drinking policies, unless you're my friends here on the show who are. I'm literally switching the camera to Hannah Clara.
I do not like it here today. I just have to say that. I am having a not so great time.
It was weird. I don't like these vibes.
Meanwhile, today, like yesterday, that was me, and today I'm like, this is hilarious. So I apologize.
How the turntables.
Yes, exactly. So, what? I didn't do it to make you mad.
I downvote this whole experience right now.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.